Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Growth Club. If somebody on the chat could just let me know that they can see the screen and hopefully they can hear me, that would be amazing. Thanks, Vicky. Good stuff. We've got a couple of stragglers who are struggling to connect, so we're just going to give it 2 more minutes to make sure everybody's on board. You should also have received a copy of the Excel file that we use for the planning process. So that would be good. If you can confirm that you've received the Excel file, that would be amazing. If you haven't received it, then Joe will get that to you very shortly. You can see. Thanks, Chris. Hopefully that means everybody's received a copy of it. Good stuff. If you haven't, just drop a message in the chat and Joe will send it on to you. So you can see I'm coming to you from my beachside residence in Dubai. Got tired of sitting in my back bedroom in Tring, so I thought I'd get on a plane and fly all the way to Dubai just for this Growth Club. Not. Hopefully you can hear me loud and clear. I've got a new microphone I'm testing today. It looks like it's working okay, so all good. One person left, I think, to join, which is great. We'll give it 1 more minute and then we'll crack on. So lots of good stuff to talk about today. Obviously, goal setting, massively important part of of what we teach on a regular basis. And the planning process is critical to that. As we always say, a goal without a plan is just a dream, right? And I think it's really important to remember that. So in order to realize the things that you want, you've got to be able to put a plan in place. And in order to put a plan in place, there are a lot of things that you've got to do. So today, the purpose of the first hour is to talk about some mindset related stuff and some identity related stuff, really crucial to getting your head on straight and looking in the right direction and figuring out where it is you want to go. And then the second half, the second hour, is really all about writing the plan. Now, some of you have been on this before. There's at least half a dozen of you that have been on this before, which is fine. You'll have seen the spreadsheet. You know what's coming. For those of you that haven't, there's a Calendly link that you'll see at the end of this presentation, which if you click on that link, and I'll send the presentation to you, obviously, you can click on that link and you can book a 20-minute follow-up slot with me in the diary to just talk through any points that you weren't clear on, or anything that doesn't make sense, or anything that you're struggling with in order to get this done. Now, normally we do our planning sessions in blocks of 90 days, so by quarter. But because there's so much going on with the current pandemic, the current crisis, we've been doing shorter versions of the planning session. So this is a 30-day plan. Now, when you get to the Excel spreadsheet and you look at the look at the calendar in there, you'll see that that calendar does in fact reach for 90 days, which is fine. Obviously, if you want to plan further than 30 days, that's great. But in the circumstances that we're in, and we'll talk about what the timeline looks like in a moment, some people are finding that difficult. So hence, this is currently a 30-day Growth Club. We'll be doing one of these at the same point in July and probably the same point in August. And then in September, we'll get back to our normal quarterly planning process, assuming that the world is returning to something like normal and lockdown is over and so on and so forth. So great. That looks like everybody I'm expecting is there now. So we'll kick off. So this is a 30-day planning session, and we're calling it Beating COVID-19. And we're obviously not going to beat the virus, but we are going to beat that the current downturn in business that everybody's seeing. So the latest figures for the UK show a 20% decline in April for business across the UK. I'm not surprised by that. Frankly, I thought it would be more, but those are the latest government stats that have come out. Jim Rohn, one of my favorite authors, one of my favorite business coaches. Successful people do what unsuccessful people don't do. And that's really the focus of what we're going to talk about today. Don't wish it was easier. Don't wish life was easier. Don't wish business was easier. Wish that you were better. A lot of that is about the first hour of what we're going to talk about today. And so you'll see as we wade through this that there's a lot of stuff in here which is all about what's going on in your head, all about who you need to be in order to progress your business. So what does the agenda look like? I mentioned this Calendly link earlier on. You'll see it at the end of the presentation. Happy to support with completing your plans. Happy to answer any questions. Happy to provide some clarity on anything that was unclear during the couple of hours this morning. So first of all, I guess I should say congratulations for giving up 2 hours of your day. Really, really important. This is part of that working on your business rather than working in your business. And we talk about that a lot. And I know it sounds quite trite on occasions, but it is absolutely fundamental that you give up a couple of hours a week to just sit over your business, 5,000 feet, and look down and see what is going on a day-to-day basis and plan accordingly. So between 9 and 9:50, this is all mindset stuff. So the path forwards, what that looks like, getting more from the same, interesting statement, and who are you? And then at 9:50, we'll look at the planning documents, and then we'll crack on and get into the planning process. 30-day plans, personal and business, and then a quick look at a default diary. And those of you who haven't been on this before, hopefully you'll find that interesting. Those of you that have, of course, will have a fabulous default diary already set, and so won't have to worry about it. And then we're going to talk about discipline, because self-discipline is a huge part of this mindset in order to allow you to work better, work harder, and achieve more. And then by 11, we'll have completed plans, and you'll be booking follow-up sessions to go through those plans if you need to. And if you don't, well, happy days. We'll see you again in 30 days' time for the next session. Hopefully everybody's okay with that. If you do have any questions or comments or anything in between, don't use the Q&A box, use the chat box, and just stick up your hand or ask a question. Happy to talk through those points as we go through. One of the things that's important to me, if I can ask for your assistance, is take a picture of your screen, post it on LinkedIn and Facebook. Let people know that you're engaged in a planning process and that you're engaged in a planning process with me. That would help me enormously. We love referrals. They are the best form of marketing you can possibly get. So at some point during this, if you take a screenshot, if you're on a Mac, Command-Shift-4, I've no idea what it is on a Windows machine, but that would be great. And just let people know that you're involved in planning the next stage of your business. Really, really important. Okay, so I don't think I've used this in one of these growth clubs before. So we talk about this a lot. This is the challenge that a lot of businesses face: small, medium, large, mature, immature, etc. And this is the demise curve. So at some point, business begins to tail off. Often the business owner isn't aware that they're in trouble because they're still in control of what's going on. And then gradually, as they lose control, eventually they lose the business. And so part of the reason that we insist that planning takes place on a regular basis is because if you get into the situation where you've lost control, you can regain control by planning. And if you put in place the right plans and the right actions, you can turn the business around. So we like to talk about reversing the demise curve and getting you back out of that dip that you might be in. You might be in there mentally, or you might be in there physically. Your business might be in there because of circumstances like the ones we find ourselves in today. But if you've got a good plan, if you've got a rational, reasoned plan to action, then there is absolutely every chance that you can reverse the demise curve. This is quite a complex looking slide. It's not that complex in real terms. We've broken the COVID crisis and lockdown into 5 stages. Now, I've talked about them before in 3 stages, panic, plan, emerge. This is a more detailed version of that. So on the left-hand side here in phase 1, you'll see there is a phase called lockdown. We all know what that looks like. And what you should be doing from a personal point of view, what you should be doing from a business point of view. A number of my clients mothballed their businesses. A number went for government assistance. Some retrenched and looked after business finances, spent a lot of time looking after their staff. Many of my clients have looked after their staff and furloughed them rather than making them redundant, which is absolutely what the purpose of the furlough scheme was for. And so that phase one lockdown, grim, right? Really, really difficult. A lot of people trying to find their head and find, what the next stage in their businesses look like. And then prior to lockdown ending, we pushed really hard on training. You do a skills audit on yourself, take some online courses, look at coaching, look at self-management through time. How are you using your time? Are you using it effectively? Or are you just, sitting in the garden drinking a gin and tonic? Now, if you've mothballed your business, well, fine. I can kind of understand that that's some of the mentality is to sit there and have a G&T. But there's a refresh of your vision and mission for the business. There's a refresh of products and services. There's a refresh of your marketing strategy. What collateral didn't you have before lockdown? What are you doing from a marketing point of view? Don't stop marketing during the downtime, because that's the time that you let everybody know you're still there, you're still in business, and you'll be one of the first to emerge. So there's an assumption here, this yellow star in the middle, that at some point lockdown is going to end, the date will be announced, and what do you do then? Well, you're getting ready, right? You're getting ready for the race now, and so you've got to be warming up. So refresh your default diary, we'll talk about that today. Refresh your mindset, we'll talk about that today. Prepare mentally for the sprint phase, we'll talk about that today. Looking after yourself, diet, hydration, meditation, exercise, massively, massively important to your mindset and keeping you focused on what the world looks like going forward. So that's from a personal point of view. From a business point of view, many staff are now starting to return to work. Marketing being increased substantially. If you're in marketing, great time to be in marketing, because everybody needs your services right now. They all want to do things different, better, faster, and get ready for the next phase of emergence from the current crisis. Differentiate your business. How are you going to present yourself different you're a coffee shop to the coffee shop down the road? You're a manufacturing company to the manufacturing company in the next county. How do you differentiate yourselves? And obviously start looking for opportunities. It's a massive negative, right? But there are a lot of businesses in a lot of trouble right now. There are opportunities to acquire other businesses. There are opportunities to acquire staff, good staff that have been made redundant or have been put on furlough knowing they're going to be made redundant. So look for the opportunities that exist out there, because there are some great people and some great businesses around that are probably available at a knockdown price. So sooner or later, lockdown is going to end. Next couple of weeks. Where are we now? We're on the 12th of June. So, kind of 1st of July, everybody's talking about things starting to change. That's phase 4. That's the sprint phase. We need to get ready now, right? So we need to get ready to sprint. Energy, clarity, focus, commitment, and ownership from you as an individual. But more importantly, from a business point of view, your business should be leading from the front. Maximum effort. Don't wait. Get on it. Focus on existing clients. Look for new clients, new marketing, test and measure all of the exercises that you're doing. Test and measure all the marketing that you're doing, making sure that it's effective. I was talking to a client the other day, and the question was, I've got 15 people that like to post on Facebook. What do I do with those people? Well, do you even know who those people are? What is your response when somebody likes a post on Facebook? Are you going on and commenting on it? Are you engaging them in conversation? Social media and LinkedIn and all of those other electronic forms of meeting people are the method by which you open a conversation. And if you're opening a conversation with them, you need to make sure you're on it. Don't just leave a like to languish there. If somebody likes it, find out who they are and make a comment back. Thanks for liking my post. I'd be interested to have a chat, whatever it might be. But engage. Test and measure, and make sure what you're doing is effective. By the time you get to phase 5, we're through the sprint phase now. We're back to a semblance of normal, whatever normal might look like, and we're competing and growing again. So consistency, balance, and fun from a personal point of view. From a business point of view, you need to be emerging from this crisis a different business to the one that went in. Leaner, sharper, better marketed, better planned, more consistent, better systems, better processes, better reporting, a dashboard. Loads and loads of things that you can do before we emerge from this crisis. And if you're not on it now, you're going to potentially miss the boat. So absolutely, time to focus. So continuous improvement, systems and processes, growth plans, optimizing your marketing. You notice marketing is in every section through here, through all of these 5 phases. Crucial that you get that absolutely right. And ultimately, what do we want? We want to build a profitable commercial enterprise that works without you, if you want it to. So those are the way we view the 5 phases, where we were when we went into lockdown and where we are when we come out, and what you need to focus on. So I'll share this slide afterwards. I'll share the whole deck afterwards, actually, so that you've got it. But constant communication with staff, suppliers, existing customers, and prospects, absolutely crucial. If you stop talking to your customers, what do they think? Do they think you've gone out of business? No. Time now to talk to more customers more often with better messaging. Marketing, absolutely crucial to us coming out of this lockdown end. So phase 4 and phase 5. So I hope that's meaningful. There's a big slide with lots and lots of words on it and pretty pictures and what have you, but I think it's really insightful when you look at the phases that people have gone through and the phases that businesses have gone through. Small or large, 1 man or 500 man, it's the same challenge for everybody. So I have a client who's got 350 people in his business, every one of them working from home. Nobody's been furloughed. They want to go back to the office, but they can't. How can you go back to the office when you've got 5 toilets in a building that serve 350 people? So what's the plan look like? How are they going to do that? That planning process for emergence from this is absolutely crucial. Don't leave it to chance. Great. So I don't think I've used this slide before. The 3 Fs. The 3 Fs in a crisis. What do? Flight, freeze, or fight. Some of you will have seen a LinkedIn video I put out recently, which was about the watchers, the winners, and the whingers. It's the same thing. What do we do when we enter a phase of a pandemic like this, or a financial crisis, or whatever else? Do we run from it? Is it F for flight? Do we bury our head in the sand? Is it F for freeze? Or in fact, is it F for fight? And of course, we're going to fight, right? And the way that you fight is to plan. And that's what today is all about. Get a plan, get into action. Point of power. Use this slide a lot. Where are you on a day-to-day basis? Where are you when you're talking to a client? Where are you in your business? Where are you at the end of the day, 5 o'clock on a Friday? Who are you? Are you taking ownership of the issues in the business? Are you accountable and responsible for everything that happens? Are you green? Are you positive? Are you above the line or above the point of power, as we call it today? Or are you down here, blaming other people for the problems, making excuses because you haven't hit your sales target, denying reality? You know, you've hacked off a customer, he's not going to buy from you again, and it's not your fault, it's their fault. Why would it be my fault? So point of power is a really, really important thing. We want you above that line. We want you above that point. The Duracell bunny is absolutely where you need to be. I did an interview on the radio show yesterday with a lady in Tring called Erica, who runs a fashion store on the high street. My God, I've never met anybody so bouncy and full of positivity, and yet her shop's been shut for 8 weeks. Ownership, accountable, responsible. Hugely important. And failure. You want an F for failure as the 4th F. The only failure is the failure to participate. If you're in 100%, I'm in 100%, you'll get 100%. And in fact, I'm going to show you how to get more than 100% in a few minutes. In fact, I'm going to show you now. So how do you get more from the same? So we all go to work, or we own a business, or we're doing something in our personal life. The stuff that we do enables us to have the stuff that we want, right? Really simple. So what must I do in order to have what I want? And you could say that in these circumstances, if I do 1, what I end up with is 1. I do this and I get that. Really nice and simple. There's a 3rd part to this formula, which is really, really important. And it's this part. Who do I have to be? What kind of person do I have to be? What skills do I have to develop? What do I have to study? What do I have to learn in order to do the stuff that I know I've got to do in order to have the stuff that I want? So I know some of you on this webinar, we've spoken about it, or I've seen you post about it. You've been taking some educational courses during lockdown. You've been doing a degree. You've been doing this. You've been doing that. You've been doing that. Self-development, massively, massively, massively important. So if you've done something like that, you're no longer the person you were before you started. You are a different bee. You are improving yourself as part of the process of wanting to do more in order to have more. So think about it like this. Who have I got to be in order to do what I have to do in order to have what I want? So goal setting comes in really, really important here. So what is my goal? What is it I want to have? What do I have to do to have what I want? That's my plan. That's what we're going to do today. So what have I got to do in order to reach my goal? And on the left-hand side in red, who must I be in order to be able to do that? Do I need some extra skills? If I'm going to go into the London Marathon, I want to have a medal at the end of the London Marathon. What have I got to do? I've got to go training. Well, who have I got to be to do that? Well, I've got to be disciplined. I've got to get up at 5 a.m. I've got to go and do my 10 miles. I've got to eat properly. I've got to hydrate properly. And I've got to be able to focus on achieving that goal. So think about it in sporting terms. Think about it in whatever terms that you like. But the important part here is, who have I got to be to do what I've got to do to have what I want? So I think of it like this. I am Simon. I know how to do business coaching, and therefore I have some clients. That's today. But actually, I'm going to work a lot harder. I want to win twice as many clients. Crikey, my week is now absolutely full. I'm working 40 hours a week coaching every single week. So 1 times 2 equals 2. Now, I can't go any faster. I can't do any more than I'm actually doing. So look at that from the point of view of your business. You know, if you're manufacturing something, can you make any more widgets? Can you turn the machine up and make it go faster? Well, you probably can, but there's a limit to that, right? And so the limitation now in that formula is you. It's the red number. It's the B. So if you can increase the B by a factor of 2, look at what that does to the result. I'm twice as good as I was. I'm doing twice as much as I was in the beginning, and I've got 4 times as much as a result. That's how powerful self-improvement, training, education, learning, that's how important that is to getting what it is you want. I talk about Richard Branson a lot. Massive fan of Richard Branson. I think he's done a fabulous job. I talk about the Branson effect and the box that he created, which is a virgin business, and he buys another one and chucks it in the box. And guess what? He knows that everything works, and therefore he's got yet another successful business. But in the early days, he spent his life calling from a telephone box, begging for deals or products or whatever else it was. He wasn't the same person then as he is now. Now, yeah, I know he's got some money in the bank, but he's not the same person he was. He's learnt loads and loads of things over the years that makes him a different bee. And because he's a different bee, he's able to do stuff and have much more. So that's the way that I always think about this. Hopefully that makes sense. So B do have really important formula. If we focus just on the B for a second, and that is who you are, this is, as you all know, an iceberg. Again, some of you, I will have talked about the identity iceberg before, but I just want to examine it in a little bit more detail today. So that iceberg is you. That iceberg is only showing a small fraction of its size above the waterline. Everything else is hidden below the waterline. So if this is me, you can see the top part of me, you can see the bit above the waterline, but you can't see what goes on below. Hopefully that's completely clear. So if we think about the above the waterline being the results that you get, the have from the previous slide, then the actions that you take and the decisions that you make and the behavior that you employ directly give you those results. What I do, how I do it, the actions that I take give me the results that I get. But what's going on below the waterline? The skills that I have, the beliefs that I have, the values that I have, and the identity that I have, and the environment that I work in drive all of that stuff at the top. If I'm more skillful and my beliefs are stronger and my values are clear and my identity is defined, then the actions, behavior, and decisions I take will be different, and they will give you different results. So going back to the previous slide, what do I want to have? That's the results. What am I going to do? That's the behavior, actions, and decisions that I make. Everything underneath the water is the B. So I want to run the London Marathon. I don't actually, but if I wanted to run the London Marathon, what would I do? What would my skills be? Well, I would be learning how to run a long distance. That's not just something you get out of bed and do one day, certainly not at my age, but you get out of bed and you employ a new set of skills. So I'd probably employ a running coach to teach me how to run properly without damaging my hips, my knees, my feet. My beliefs would have to be different. I would be getting up every morning saying, I am a marathon runner. I can run 26 miles. What are my values? Discipline being a huge value that would be required in order for me to run the London Marathon. Do the same number of miles every day. Drink properly, eat properly, sleep properly, etc. Those skills, hugely, hugely important. And what is my identity? Well, at that point, my identity is I'm a runner. And why is my identity I'm a runner? It's because I want to run the London Marathon. So if my skill set is improved, my beliefs are on point, my values, my discipline, etc., are all at the fore, and my identity is I'm a runner, and my environment is the outdoors because I'm out there every day pounding the streets, running my 10 miles, what's going to happen? Well, I'm going to run the London Marathon. The result is I'm going to be a 26-mile London Marathon gold medal holder. So hopefully that makes sense, and it frames the previous slide that be do have in a little bit more detail. The message here is really simple. It's who have you got to be? What have you got to develop as your skill set? Who have you got to be mentally? Does anybody use affirmations? Does anybody say to themselves, I am the best marketeer around? My business is the best joinery company in Hertfordshire. I am a world-class business coach. Does anybody use those affirmations? What, 2 years ago when I started this formal coaching process, I felt like they were a little bit out there. But if I want to run a marathon, I have got to assume the identity of a marathon runner. And I've got to believe that I can do it. And every morning I'll be saying to myself, I am a marathon runner. I can run 26 miles. And the more you say it, the more real those things become. So I've labored the point there. Hopefully you all understand self-improvement, massive, massive, massive part of anybody's success. Okay, so I talked about affirmations very briefly there. We talk about something in Action Coach called your RAS, a little part of your brain where when you say, I am, I can, I must, I will, a little part of your brain locks onto that and it becomes the compass for your brain. And that allows you to set your sights on a goal. So what is your 1 year goal? What is your 10-year goal? What is your lifetime goal? What does your bucket list look like? What are all those things that you want to achieve? Once you start to talk about those and you write those on a list and you pin them on the wall and it's something you look at every day, and maybe you attach some pretty pictures to it, you know, I want a house in Barbados, I want to go skiing every year, or I want to take the family to Australia, or whatever else it might be. Those things become part of your persona and part of your compass for your brain. So set your goals, understand what they are, and your brain will help you to achieve those things. And I always think of this a little bit like I need to buy a new car, right? So I recently bought a second-hand car. I bought a BMW 3 Series GT Grand Tour. It's a big, bloody great big car. And I hadn't seen many of them around at all. And I buy this car, and suddenly there's 3 on my road. I must see 5 or 6 every time I drive down the around the M25. And so it's a little bit of the same thing, right? So I hadn't kind of visualized it previously, but once I visualized my goal, I knew what it was. Suddenly I'm seeing these things everywhere. They become part of your reality. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have no goal, you're drifting. Hope is not a business strategy. I hope, maybe, possibly, potentially. No, this is about achieving a goal. I am going to do this by this time, and then that becomes your unwritten compass. So to achieve more, you need to know where you're going. To know where you're going, you need to set goals. And you need to open your mind and think bigger than you would do ordinarily. So if I said to you today, get in your car and go and drive to Estonia. Oh, there's no sat nav in the car. You've got no mobile phone and you've got no dashboard. How would you do it? Would you know how to get there? Of course you wouldn't. So if Estonia was your goal in your car to get there, you've got no mechanism by which to achieve that. Set your goal, write your plan. Your plan becomes the dashboard. Your plan becomes the mechanism by which you're going to achieve your goal. So to know where you're going, you need to set goals in the first place, right? So I'm not going to ask you to do this. Normally in a face-to-face growth club with the last 6 or 7 hours, we would be doing this as an exercise during the session. But I'm going to give you this as a little bit of homework. So on a piece of paper, you'll get the slide deck afterwards, so you don't need to scribble this down, but on a piece of paper, I would like you to set yourself some 1-year goals. Short term, break it into 4 quarters. So my goal for September, my goal for December, my goal for March, my goal for June next year. What are those goals? They can be small, they can be large, they can be unambitious, they can be ambitious, they can be whatever you like. But for thinking about between now or between September, so Q3 this year, and the end of Q2 in 2021, what are your short-term goals? And think about that. It's easy to hope that something's going to happen. I spent many years in business with stuff rattling through my head, thinking, yeah, that's fine. I know where I'm going. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And never, ever, ever wrote those things down and had them materialize as a result of it. So 1 year short-term goals. And then I'd like you to do exactly the same thing, but on over a much longer time period. So I always start in reverse. I'll go for my 10-year goal. So I know what my 10-year goal is, absolutely locked up nice and tight. I know what my 5-year goal is. I know what my 3-year goal is. So what are they on that time scale? 2022, 24, 25, and 2030. So a bit of homework, your 1-year goals broken into the next 3 quarters, and a bit of homework, your longer term goals, 3, 5, and 10 years. And I'd like you to send those to me. So your holding you to account, 2 little lists of the things you want to achieve, write them down, pop them in an email, send them to me. Okay, so we are at 9:30. Little question in the chat box. Can I go back to the previous slide? Howard, just for you, I'll go back to the previous slide. So these 2 are, I'll just pop back to the previous one first. So this is 1 year. So short term, the next 3 quarters. What is the goal for September quarter, December quarter, March quarter, June quarter? And then what is the goal for 3, 5, and 10 years? So I'm happy to share my 10-year goal. I'm only 27 years old, but by the time I'm 37, I want to be in semi-retirement, having made sufficient money to be able to go and invest it in other small businesses and to help them to develop their business. That's my 10-year goal in a nutshell. What's my 5-year goal? My 5-year goal is to be working 3 days a week and earning what I'm earning today in 5 days a week. Really nice and simple. And the reason they are business orientated and not personal orientated is because those allow me to do the things that I want to do from a personal point of view. And so some people will use personal for all of these things, and some people will use business for all of these things. Doesn't really matter, but you've got to have a target for your reticular activating system. You need a goal so that you know where you're headed. I think it wouldn't be unfair for me to say that. So this is my 5th business. Of the other 4, I don't think I ever thought about what the goal was. I don't think I ever wrote a plan. In fact, I know I did. I know that's not true. In one company I did, where we were going for some VC funding. But other than that, I never wrote a plan. I just did what I did on a day-to-day basis and made decisions and kind of got somewhere that was okay. If I'd have had a business coach when I set up my first business, I wouldn't be here now. Well, I might be here now because I love what I do, but I wouldn't be here in the same way that I am today, because that business would have been wildly successful. It was moderately successful, not wildly successful, but I didn't even know business coaching existed. Somebody to share your problems with, somebody to talk to, somebody to inspire you, somebody to hold you to account. Regular planning sessions like these help enormously to keep you focused and keep you on track and to keep you inspired, right? Part of this is about inspiring yourself. So we're 35 minutes in. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes now. Does anybody want to go back over any of the stuff that we've talked about so far? If you do, just drop a quick note in the chat box. We've talked about a lot of stuff so far, and I haven't labored the point because I want to make sure we leave enough time to get the planning done effectively. Anybody got any comments on the iceberg? Love the iceberg. Really important that you think about all of that stuff below the waterline. If you looked at yourself and you were absolutely honest with yourself and you wrote a list of everything that sits below the waterline there, what are my skills? What are my beliefs, values, and identity? It might cause you some surprise. What else do I need to develop as skills in order to be able to have the results that I want? Hopefully you all get the theme here. So that was your goal stretching homework for 1 year and your goal stretching homework for 3, 5, and 10 years. Everybody okay to move forwards? Unless anybody says no, we'll hop on to the next slide. Great stuff. So we allow about an hour for planning, and there are a couple of extra bits at the end, which I wanna focus on. So it'll be an hour and 10, an hour and 15, there or thereabouts. So we should be pretty close to our 11 o'clock deadline. So you've all got an Excel spreadsheet. I'll open it up on here in a second and share it with you. I want to do the following. So tab 1 is the first point of focus. So if you open the spreadsheet on tab 1, let me see if I can just do this. So hopefully you can all see that Excel spreadsheet on my screen. A little bit bigger. Could somebody just pop their hand up and just confirm you can see the spreadsheet? Thank you very much. So you'll see down the bottom here, you've got multiple tabs. Success review is the first tab. 30-day goals is the second tab, etc. So we're just going to focus on success review for the next 5 minutes. So this is all about what happened last month, right? So 30 days, it says quarterly on there, and I completely forgot to edit that line. Normally this is a 90-day sheet, as I said. So 30-day planning pack. So what have you achieved in the last 30 days? What were your key achievements? You don't need 5 of them. 1 of them is fine. But what did you achieve that you're proud of, pleased with, was in your plan for last month, that you absolutely are happy that you've achieved? So what was the achievement? What do you attribute your success to? So what made the difference? Why were you able to achieve that? And then, is there anything that's come out of that as a further action point? You know, so maybe the key achievement was applying for the bounce back loan from your bank. What do you attribute your success to? Timely getting the application in and being with the right bank at the right time, because they haven't all been excellent. Some of them have been really, really poor and paying those bounce back loans. Any specific action points? Yes, you've got a plan for the repayments that are going to start on that loan. in 12 months' time. Might be about retaining your staff, might be about launching a new product. I know there are a couple of you on here who have done some great stuff digitally where you've got new things going. Were they in your plan from the previous quarter? If they were, great. What were the key achievements? Why were you successful? And what comes next? So we talk a lot in Action Coach about habits. So you get up at the same time every day. I get up at 6. By the time I've showered, had breakfast, it's 6:45. I walk the dogs, 45 minutes. So by 6:30, I'm usually back having a cup of coffee and ready to sit at my desk by 8. And so those are habits. Now, in that, sitting at my desk at 8, normally I'll read for 10 minutes. I'm subscribed to the Times. I'll read the headlines and a few articles in there. I'll go and have a look at The Economist, which I subscribe to, and just get a feel for, what's happening. So 10 or 15 minutes of that. And then I might do a little bit of reading. So I'm halfway through a book called Who Moved My Cheese, which is a brilliant one about disruptive planning. And then I might watch a webinar or a recorded webinar. So usually by the time we get to 8:45, 9 o'clock, when the rest of the world is awake, I'm ready to start. But I typically won't look at my emails until that time, because if I do that, it ruins my flow for the morning. So my default diary says I will do these things. And so what have I achieved? In the last 30 days, my habit of reading every morning is a key achievement for me. Why? Because I was disciplined and made sure I did it every day, and it was in my diary. Any further action? Yes, keep doing it. So when you think your performance is in your hands, the habit of achieving your goals is the best habit you can possibly develop. And there are enough room for 6 key achievements on there, and you don't have to fill them all in this morning. But important to celebrate achievements, important to celebrate your wins, no matter how small they are. A high five because you fixed something, or a beer in the evening, or a glass of Prosecco, or whatever your thing is. Going out for an extra run because you've had your glass of Prosecco or your beer. Getting on your bike, whatever it might be. I talk a lot about exercise because I think it is crucial to mental health. If you're not exercising enough, it can be a challenge. Right diet, right sleep, right hydration, right exercise. Oh, and meditation, if you're into meditation. So if you pop your hand up once you've got some key achievements in there, that would be great. Thanks, Helen. So we're going to run through something like this. So tab 1, which is achievements, about 5 minutes. We're going to go to the personal goal tab next, which is tab 3 on that spreadsheet. So ignore tab 2 for a second, for a while, and just go straight to tab 3, which is personal goals. And then after that, we're going to do tab 4, which is your must achievement business goals. But for the moment, let's just focus on tab 3, which if I hopefully go back to here. And so this is personal goals. So your, as I mentioned at the beginning on this spreadsheet, this is a 90-day planning spreadsheet, but I've highlighted the first 4 cells down here. So the 15th of June, that's Monday next week for the next 4 weeks. And then around the 13th of July, we'll have our next one of these sessions to allow you to create your next 30-day plan. So this is personal goals. So what's the goal? The goal is to be cycling 5 miles every day. How will I measure it? I bought myself a Garmin watch. I'm going to track it every day. Why do you want to achieve it? I need to get fit. What will it mean to you? Massive self-congratulation, because I've done something I've been trying to do for the last 5 years. What's holding me back? Mental focus, not pushing myself hard enough, didn't have a bike, whatever else it might be. So important to get these cells up here filled in. So, and this one for me is, the reality is that this is the honesty factor, right? This is where you need to be brutally honest with yourself. If it's about getting fit, if it's about learning how to use a new piece of software, if it's about sitting down and retracing your family tree, you know, why have you not done it? What is holding you back? This is personal, okay? So this is not business. This is personal. What's holding you back? Why have you not done it? Be honest. No self-delusion allowed in these planning sessions. Honesty with yourself, honesty with your coach, honesty with your partner, all of those things, hugely, hugely important. And I would always advocate, when this plan is finished, that you sit down and share it with somebody who's important to you. Wife, partner, business partner, manager, whatever else it might be. So deciding your goal for the next 30 days, answer each point in turn, and then create all the tasks that are appropriate to completing the goal. So if I just describe for a second, in cell 1 down here where it says personal goal action descriptions, this is the actions that meet the goal, which is up here. What are the actions? So if this is cycle 5 miles every day, my first action is to get my bike serviced. My second action is to make sure I've got my sports watch activated. My third one is to get on the bike and at least do a couple of miles on the first couple of days to get myself warmed up. My next action is 5 miles every day. Get out there and do my 5 miles every day. Who is going to do it? Who's responsible for the actions? And then at what point during the next 4 weeks do those things happen? So if getting my bike serviced is important to me, I'm going to put that in the first cell here. Who's going to do that? I am. And so on. So when we were going through the slides earlier, we were talking about setting a goal. We were talking about the plan being the important part. But one of the words that echoes through every single coaching session, every single conversation I have these days is clarity. Don't allow the terminology you use, the words you use, to be woolly or fluffy or imprecise. Absolute clarity on what you're going to do and when. I'll give you another 3 or 4 minutes on that one. If you could then stick your hand up when you've completed that, that would be fab. And you don't need 15 actions, unless you do need 15 actions, but you don't need 15 actions to achieve that one personal goal. Great. So if you pop your hand up when you've got your personal goals in. Thank you, Chris. How are we doing? Anybody else ready to move on from personal goals? Thank you, Vicky. Okay, so if you've gotten to the end of your personal goal segment, then we're going to look at the must achieve business goal next on tab 4. So tab 4 is this is a really important. This is like your same with your personal goal. This is the absolute must achieve business goal. So if you left here with 6 business goals all mapped out, this is the one that you absolutely have to achieve. Can't miss it. Must happen. No questions asked. And same process. So what is the goal? How are you going to measure it? Why do you want to achieve it? What will it mean to you? We're always looking for a little bit of emotion in here with all of these things, because anything which is emotionally charged is really, really important to you and typically will help you to achieve that. So what will it mean to you to achieve this must achieve business goal? So quite a common one is to hit a certain profit level during a period. These days, you know, with COVID being what it is, that it might be to win a new business client. What will it mean to you to win a new client? How important is that on a scale of 1 to 10? Probably an 11 today. And then most important, absolutely critical, what is stopping you from doing that today? Had a client last year that employed me to do some sales training for his sales team. Great bunch of guys. Came back about 8 weeks ago and said that all of the sales team had quit and left just before lockdown. And I asked him what the reality of that was, and he said that he was a terrible manager. Why are you a terrible manager? Because I don't believe anybody else can do the job as well as I can. So that sales team lasted just short of a year, all of them, 6 of them. So being honest with yourself and understanding what the reality is really important, particularly when you're goal setting. Am I bad at something? Do I need to improve at something? What will it mean to me? What's stopping me from doing it? Honesty, honesty, honesty. Be honest with yourself. None of us are good at everything. So thinking about the be element, who do I need to be to do the stuff I've got to do to have the stuff I want? The goal might involve you upskilling yourself in a certain area. It might be that you need to learn all about SEO in order to make your new website project successful. What's the goal? Get our website to 100,000 hits a quarter. Okay, So what's the action that you're going to take to do that? Going to learn how to become an SEO wizard. I'm going to learn about Google AdWords. I'm going to upskill myself to the point where I can make that successful, because it is a must achieve business goal. Now, again, this is a 30-day planning session, but the action list goes out for 90 days. If it's a longer term goal and you want your actions to go past the next 30 days, that's absolutely fine. This is about what the reality is for your business. There's a great quote on here from Stephen Covey, another great author, business coach. To begin with the end in mind means to start with a clear understanding of your destination. The end is to drive to Estonia. It means to know where you're going so that you better understand where you are now, and so the steps you take are always in the right direction. If you've been working with me for long, you'll know I talk a lot about what's your perfect house look like. You could describe that, right? So what's your finished perfect house look like? Does anybody have their finished perfect business defined in the same way? What does your business look like? How big is it? Where is it? How many people? What does it do? What's the revenue? What's the profitability? How often do you work in it? If you know what the destination is, you know what the goal is, you know what the end game is, you know what your finished business looks like, all of this stuff becomes much, much easier, because it's all just milestones on a path to a destination. So if you've cracked your must achieve business goal, perhaps you just pop your hand up so I can see where we are. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Dan. Just give it a couple more minutes to make sure everybody's got this. This goal is crucial, right? So must achieve business goal is crucial. So the steps that you're going to take to achieve this goal, make sure they are well defined. Thanks, Alan. Make sure they are well defined. No fluffy, woolly stuff. No imprecise descriptions. Get that description absolutely nailed. What is it you're going to do? I am going to hammer this 6-inch nail into this wall. Not, I'm going to put a fixing on the wall to hang it up on. Be really precise and make sure you get a date in the box on the right, in the boxes on the right, sometime between now and the 6th of July, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. If you want to put an actual date in there, because you know there is one, do it, that's great. Let's give it one more minute. Super. I have a question. That's okay, Vicky. If you, when we get to the end, if you just book that 20-minute slot, we'll have a look at that. First time around, for anybody, I know there are a number of you that are first timers on this. This is a little bit more difficult to do first time around, and I think you'll get into the swing of it quickly enough by the time you've done the 2nd or 3rd session. So all of my clients, with the exception of 2, attend a planning session like this, either individually with their teams or as part of a group. And I think everybody struggles the first time to just get this really, really precise. By the time we've done it a couple of times, it becomes a lot easier. And so what we always change is the first hour. The first hour is always different. It's always trying to help you realize different aspects of the kind of coaching paradigm, for want of a better description. But the second part of this is all about you getting these goals down, and me holding you accountable to doing that. And I think that's really key. So not a problem. Happy to do those 20-minute follow-ups when everybody's ready. So that's the must-achieve business goal. And now we're going to move to tab 5, which, if I've not broken my screen share, there we go. So tab 5 is your second business goal. So I said what's most important is you've got one absolutely solid, this is what I want to achieve. This is the must-achieve goal, and nothing else matters. There are 2 other tabs for business goal 2 and business goal 3. I'd like you to have 2 others, of course, but they don't have to be the absolute must-achieve. They have to be the secondary and tertiary selections, but they are equally important. So I've got a new client I've only been working with a couple of weeks. They're absolutely clear on their must-achieve goal. Their must-achieve goal is they've got to break even this quarter. This month, the month of June. They actually had quite a good April, having had a really, really poor March. And so how they're going to achieve that? So he's got a strategy that says marketing, sales, operations, margin pressure, buying better from buying better from suppliers, etc. And that's all in his must-achieve goal. And he has ignored business goal 2 and 3 for obvious reasons, because the only thing that matters to him right now is he's got to hit that profitability level or break-even point in June. So the steps are really simple. Upgrade our marketing to make sure that we're acquiring new Facebook likes, shares, and follows. Upgrade our LinkedIn marketing activity to make sure that people are liking, commenting, and sharing on our posts. We want 50 shares of every post that we make, or whatever the precise numbers are. Ensure the sales team follow up on every like, share, or post that gets made on either our social media or our LinkedIn profile. Make sure the sales guys enter all the details in the pipeline, in their CRM, and so on. So really, clarity. I mentioned clarity. I'll talk about it again, I'm sure, before we get to the end of this session. Clarity, 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 clarity. Be really precise. No wooliness allowed. No fluffy stuff allowed. No marketing speak allowed. This is all about absolute clarity in the plan. When an athlete trains to run the 100 meters, absolute clarity. Best shoes, best shorts and t-shirt or lycra outfit, whatever it is they're wearing, best nutrition, best hydration. They know exactly what they're going to eat, when they're going to eat, when they're going to sleep. The regime for a sportsman at that level is absolutely brutal. But the actions to achieve their goal, which is to win a gold medal, the gold medal is the goal. The actions are really, really precise. Drink 4 liters of water a day. Eat 3,500 calories a day. Run 2 miles a day. Sprint 100 meters 5 times a day. Whatever those things might be, but they are really, really well defined and precise. So what is your secondary business goal? How you'll measure it often requires some thought as well, because again, you need to be precise with the measurement. Yes, Daniel, I keep talking about running the marathon. You're right. I think maybe cycling London to Brighton will become my new example. That's definitely on for next year. I don't think I'm a marathon runner, unfortunately. But if I put my mind to it and it becomes my must-achieve personal goal, you never know, right? So how are we doing with personal goal 2? Yes, I think it's going to become obligatory for all of my clients to enter the London to Brighton with me next year. So we're going to do a group session. So I have a coach company as a client, and she offered yesterday to put together a coach to take all of us down to London, and then for the coach to go to Brighton and pick us all up at the other end and bring us and all the bikes back. So that is a project for Jo to organise. She doesn't know it yet, but well, she will do because she's on this call. I'm sure Jo is looking forward to getting that organised. But London to Brighton 2021. using Mason's coaches to get us backwards and forwards. Joe's really excited about that, everybody. So she's going to go out and pump the tires up on our bike after this. Great. So if you'd be kind enough to pop your hand up when you're happy with your business goal 2, that would be excellent. Well done, Chris. Thank you, Daniel. Excellent. And just checking back in, make sure your business goal action descriptions are absolutely crystal clear and that you've got an owner and a delivery date in the when will you do it boxes. I did have a couple of plans back after last Growth Club where there were no marks in the when will you do it box. So going back to clarity, absolute clarity on what's the goal, how you'll measure it, why do you want to achieve it, what will it mean to you, what's holding you back, absolute clarity, clarity on your actions, but more importantly than any of those things is clarity on when you're going to deliver against those actions. So week 1, 2, 3, or 4. And there's a summary page in here, which we'll get to in a little while, but when you look at the summary page, it will summarize all of your actions and your calendar and show you all of that in one page. And that's the bit you print out and stick above your desk. That's the bit that's going to keep you on track, where you hold yourself accountable. Great stuff. I've lost track of the hands, but there are a fair few going up there. So that hopefully means that you're happy to move on to business goal 3. We're going to stop at 3 because I think 3 is enough for today, given the time that we've got. Talk about the rule of 3 a lot. The rule of 3 seems to apply to an awful lot of things that we do and we talk about. So your third business goal, again, clarity, clarity, clarity. Make sure you understand exactly what that looks like. As I said before, that might be training, it might be planning, it might be getting your cash flow forecast straight, it might be some financial planning for next year. You might be dealing with questions around furlough for your team. There's all sorts of things. So the goal I need to achieve this month is what? By the end of the week of 6th of July, or that make it the 12th. Yeah, by the 12th of July, what have I got to achieve? So one of my long-term goals is to write a book. So one of my 30-day goals is to get the first draft and the chapter layout and what have you all finished by the middle of July. Actually, by the 15th of July, which is in my diary. I'm not quite sure why it's the 15th, but maybe that should be the 12th to fit in with this plan. So you can take a longer term goal and break it down into subsections and then have those fall within your goals 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so it's currently 10:16. We're going to go to 10:30 just to make sure that everybody's got enough detail in their plans. And then we're going to change tack slightly and look at a couple of other things to just round off the planning process. Yeah, I hear you, Vicky. Not a problem, and we can look at this on the well, we can talk about it beforehand. Obviously, if you book a 20-minute session, we can have a chat, but we can also look at it again on the 19th and get it all nailed. So hopefully the third goal is a bit easier to get the detail down than the first and the second. You're forming a bit of a habit now, which is always good. So for those of you that I work with on a regular basis, after the first couple of months, we implement a focus sheet that gets completed after every session, after every coaching session. And the 90-day planning version of this is what is used to drive the focus sheet. So the 90-day planning elements are the bits that go in the first page of the focus sheet. And then the work that we do on a day-to-day basis or on a week-by-week basis is used to drive towards the 90-day goals. So that kind of what we're doing here is we're short-circuiting that process because of the current state of the market and the need to change rapidly what it is we might be doing. A lot of this now is about commitment and mindset and focus and you nailing something and saying, absolutely, this is what I'm going to do and this is when I'm going to do it by. The ongoing coaching process normally reminds you of that on a regular basis because we're using the focus sheet to assign homework and to report back on how you're feeling, what's been great that week, what's been poor that week, what the current challenge is, and so on. And so if you're reasonably new as a client, we'll get into that focus sheet work. Usually by the end of kind of 2 or 3 months, we implement that, and then that becomes the step-by-step process that we go through for coaching on an ongoing basis. So about another 5 minutes. If you've done your personal goal and 3 business goals, would you just pop your hand up for me? That would be great. Blimey. Well done, chaps. And ladies. Does anybody need a little bit longer, or are we okay to move on? Don't be shy. If you need another few minutes, I'm happy to give you another 5 minutes. Very good. I think that's at least 80% of you now, which is great. So we are going to move along because there are a couple of other things I want to try to squeeze in here. So the last half an hour or so, we're going to talk a little bit about lead generation, and we're going to talk a bit about discipline and diaries. So let me just move this back here for a second. Share this one. Okay, so we allotted, what do we have, 45? We had almost an hour for that lot. We've actually done really well. So we've come in inside that, which is great. So there are 2 other tabs. Tab 7 populates automatically, so we'll look at that one in a second. And then tabs 8 and 9 that we're going to look at in a little bit more detail. So I'll just hop back to the spreadsheet, which is here. So the tab labeled 30-day plan, if you take a look at that now, this extracts everything from your personal goal, must achieve goal, business goals 2 and 3, and puts them all on one sheet. So if you've completed your personal goals correctly, all those D's, what you should see on here is the D's appear in your goal here, and then these should be your actions. So again, if I go back to personal goals, and I just enter something in there, what you should see in here is that this is my goal, and these are my actions, and then it should carry through who does it and what the weeks look like. And the reason for that is really simple. This is your personal goal. I scroll up, this is your must achieve goal. This is your business goal 2. This is your business goal 3. So it's all in one place. And obviously you can collapse down the extra cells. Ideally, you want all of this on 1 or 2 sheets. Print them out, stick them on the wall, and these become your compass for the next few weeks. Obviously, there's your day-to-day work to do. Obviously, there's lots of other things to do, but these are the must-achieve goals for your business and the actions you're going to take. So they should be prioritized. If anybody listened to the recent radio show that I did, we talked a lot about to-do list, to-don't list. Very important that your to-don't list has all the stuff on it that is not important, and that your to-do list has all the stuff on it that is important, and these things on this sheet, on this worksheet, should be on your to-do list somewhere near the top and prioritized accordingly. Lots of work, maybe we'll talk about it next time, but in terms of workflow, how you get focus and how you make sure that the stuff that's important gets done. Maybe we'll insert that at the beginning of the next Growth Club, because that's a really important piece of keeping you on point and making sure that you achieve stuff on a daily basis. Do you get to the end of the day and feel like you haven't achieved anything? I hope not. If you do, there are ways that we can help with that. So that's the 30-day plan summary sheet. I hope that's useful. There are two other tabs. We'll look at the D-Diary template in a second, but if you just hop to the Discipline tab, this is, I liken business coaching to sports coaching a lot. You'll hear me often talk about, rugby teams or football teams or cycling or the Olympics or something similar. 100 meters, the discipline you have to run the 100 meters or the 1500 meters, the likes of Mo Farah versus, Linford Christie and so on and so forth. Everything that they do, all those successful people out there, successful people that you look at and admire or are jealous of, or whatever the situation might be, business people, sports people, musicians, whatever else it might be, they all have discipline in one area or another. It might be discipline that comes from something they enjoy, but more often than not, it's discipline because they want to achieve a goal. So this sheet is all about self-discipline, mastering what's going on in your head, your thoughts. If you can't control what you think, then you're never going to be able to control what you do. So you've got to be able to enable your self-discipline to become one of the strongest traits of your character. People don't talk about character very often anymore, but your character is really, really important. And if as part of your character, self-discipline is a key part of that, it enables you to think first and act afterwards. How many people do you know that just go, boom, and give you an answer straight away? Rude answer. Something that's not helpful. Off the cuff. Self-discipline enables you to think first and act afterwards. Really, really crucial. So the purpose of this sheet is I want you to commit to 3 disciplines, personal, business, doesn't matter what they are, but 3 disciplines that you're going to commit to doing. What are they? Disciplines 1, 2, and 3. And every day I will commit to doing something related to that discipline. Hopefully that makes sense. Question? The discipline tab isn't on my spreadsheet. It is on your spreadsheet. It's just probably scrolled to the right, I would imagine, Chris. I think, Joe, if you could just confirm you sent the same spreadsheet to everybody. I'm sure you did. So it's called the 30-day client .xlsx, I believe, and there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If it's the 9th tab, it's probably all the way over to the right. So just sorry, Vicky, I'll come back. I'll repeat that in a second. Daniel, you're trying to tell me you don't have any discipline, or you don't have the discipline sheet? I'm sure it's you don't have any discipline. If you enlarge the size of the Excel, you should see the discipline tab. It's definitely on there. Does anybody else not have the discipline tab on their spreadsheet? If I do that, you can see the discipline tab. Yeah, please, Chris. Yeah, you can post a screen grab in the chat box, I think. So, Vicky, for your benefit, discipline, self-discipline is what we're looking for here. What are the things that you need to control in order that enable you to think first and act afterwards? So what are the disciplines that you want to be able to achieve? So the discipline I'm looking for is this, and every day I will commit to doing this. Some people use this for fitness or weight loss or focus or meditation or thinking first and shouting afterwards, being more patient, there's so many things that this could be, but this is about self-discipline. So what is it that you're going to be able to do that is going to help you commit to doing something that's going to benefit you, benefit your family, benefit your business, and so on. Discipline is a massively important part of keeping your focus, but having everybody on board with you. So we talked about habits and how important habits are. Discipline and habits are quite closely aligned in this area. So my discipline was to get up at the same time every day. If you haven't read The Miracle Morning as a book, I would highly recommend The Miracle Morning. It's a bit counterintuitive because they want you to get up early. They tell the story about how getting up early allows you to achieve that much more, and it absolutely does. Absolutely does. So I get a couple of hours done before the craziness of the day starts. But I'm not working in those 2 hours. I'm doing stuff for me. I'm exercising, I'm walking the dogs, I'm having breakfast, I've got some downtime, I'm doing a bit of learning. Oh, Chris, apparently on Daniel's sheet, it must have been before I saved it, it's the second tab on the sheet, not the last tab. Okay, so take a few minutes to just fill that in. If you can't find the tab, Chris, just grab a piece of paper and scribble on it. Hey, Vicky, well done. Grab a piece of paper and scribble on it. Just note down the 3 disciplines and every day what you're going to commit to doing. And this is something we'll check back in on. So next session, the discipline sheet is going to be the first one we go through. What were your disciplines? What did you commit to doing? Did you achieve them? Well done, Chris. So self-discipline begins with the mastery of your thoughts. If you don't control what you think, you can't control what you do. Self-discipline enables you to think first and act afterwards. The author, Napoleon Hill, this is an extract from one of his books. Again, some great coaching books out there by Napoleon Hill. So if you're interested in developing yourself, then I would recommend that. Anybody on this call who hasn't read the E-Myth yet, you need to pick that book up and read that book before you read any others. The E-Myth is a really great grounding business book. Vicky, I haven't given that to you yet, but if you haven't read it, find a copy of the E-Myth Revisited. You'll find it massively beneficial. Very good. Everybody happy with a bit of discipline? Great. Thank you, Chris. Thanks, Howard. Good stuff. Okay, we're going to hop to the tab that I hope, thank you, Helen, the tab that I hope everybody has got, which is the default diary template tab. Now, I had a lot of questions around this last time, so I'm going to, even if you've seen this, I'm going to go back through this again because this is really, really important. Now, some people, this is really difficult to do in detail for your entire business. But I have a couple of clients where literally every 15 minutes on the sheet is filled in with something, and they use this to absolutely control what they do over the 5 days of a working week, and one of them 7 days a week. So they needed some discipline, they needed some direction, they needed some focus. So this is a really simple sheet that tells you how many hours you're spending or minutes you're spending doing stuff that you should be doing and how many hours you might be spending doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing. So if I just describe my diary for a second, and I say, here's exercise. So every day, I do exercise. Every day, I do some reading. Somewhere in here, learning. Every day, I do some learning. And I'm usually doing that at the end of the day as well. You get the idea? Really, really simple. So in a working week at the moment, I'm doing 3.5 hours worth of learning. And look, all that is 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at night. Soon adds up. How long do I spend on my LinkedIn? I do my LinkedIn usually at the end of the day, and I'm probably doing that for 15 minutes. I do a bit of social media, usually at the end of the day, and that's probably for 15 minutes. When do I get to my emails, which is on here somewhere? Admin emails. I'll usually start to tackle my emails around here, and I might spend half an hour a day on those. If you send me an email, you'll notice you get an autoresponder back that says I don't read my emails very often. So please be patient. If you want me, WhatsApp me or SMS me. There's a reason for that. I don't spend an awful lot of time on emails. My first coaching session usually starts here, 8 o'clock. And that's usually 5 days a week. So I don't have a thing in here for coaching sessions, but let's just call them sales calls. What's that, 8 until 9. And then all the way through the week, usually on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all my coaching sessions appear in here. And then I fill in the gaps with whatever else it is I'm planning on doing. So the afternoon of Mondays is reserved. And Friday afternoons is reserved. I'm calling it prospecting, but it's likely to be golf if the weather gets any better. At least that's the plan. So now I can see where I'm spending 25.5 hours every week. Now, you don't have to put all the detail in here. You don't have to put in the, I'm making a phone call, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing the other, unless it helps you, of course. And if it does, happy days. So there are 2 reasons for this. The first reason is you need to make sure that you're spending your time in the right area. And if you're not spending your time in the right area, or you're drifting during a day and you're doing a bit of this and a bit of that, and not finishing this, and then going on to that, and not finishing this, and then going on to that, and you get to the end of the day and you feel like you haven't achieved anything, the reason for that is you haven't got any order to what it is you're doing during a day. Now, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I am not a planner. I'm not a person that likes to write lots of things down, but I am a person that likes habit. And so habitually, I'll do these things at the same time every day, every week, weekends, whatever else it might be. And that provides a bit of order to your life, and it means you know that you can achieve certain things. So I missed out BNI here, which appears on a Thursday morning and runs until 11:30. Oops, wrong box. BNI. So I'm now can see exactly where I'm spending 27.75 hours during a week. 2.25 hours doing BNI, 1.75 hours doing LinkedIn, 7.5 hours prospecting, 2.5 hours on email, 3.5 hours on learning. And hopefully you start to see now this builds up a picture of what your working week looks like. And then you can adjust it. You can adjust your life and your working habits to become something that's going to reward you on a day-to-day basis. Now, as I said, some people don't like this. It's too detailed. But if you just use it for the headlines, use it for a bit of personal discipline. Lunch, don't forget. Lunch is in here somewhere. Yeah, look, lunch is in here. So between 12 and 12:30 every day is, oh, no, it's not BNI, is it? At least I hope not. It's lunch. I'm spending 5 hours a week on lunch. It's quite right too. I need downtime. You need downtime. You need time to eat. You need time to relax and switch off and so on. So I find that really useful. I don't use that particular spreadsheet. After I've set it up once, I take all of that stuff and then that stuff, sorry, actually, I'm lying to you. I don't take all that stuff. Jo takes all that stuff and puts it in my diary so that it's all in there. And then she organizes all the sales calls around it and all of the coaching sessions around it, Growth Club, and all of the other stuff that we do. But it's a great place to start. You want to plan what your week looks like, or even use it as a measure of what your actual week looks like. Here's what happens during a week, and therefore I need to change that, fix it. Your recognition of bad habits as well as recognition of good habits. What do I use for my diary? Good question. Some people are like a paper diary. I recommend a thing called the Door Diary, D-O-R-E. A lot of my female clients love the Door Diary. It's just a really nice way of recording everything and gives you a chance to put in there some personal habits and some to-dos and be thankful fors and so on and so forth. So the Door Diary, D-O-R-E, is available on Amazon. They do a small version A5 and a full version A4. Mine is part of Office 365, so it's the Outlook calendar, which integrates with Zoom and integrates with the CRM system that we use. And so that means that the whole thing is linked together for me. So I can click on a meeting, it'll pop up with their CRM details. I can see who they are, what their phone number is, etc. And then I can schedule a Zoom meeting directly from my Outlook calendar. And as most of my life these days is ruled by Zoom, I find that quite useful. So does anybody have any questions on the default diary? The discipline around doing the same things at the same time. What happens on a day-to-day basis is my phone will go ping when the next meeting is, and I'll look at it and go, oh, I'm going there. Oh, I'm doing that. And that's my next, that's the thing that rules me. Howard, yes, good question. Absolutely. And so if your week is pretty well regimented, then I would absolutely recommend you just print it out and stick it on your desk or stick it on the wall or have it as a screen background. Some people use these things as a background on their screen, so it's always there so they can just check up what's going next. I personally like the fact that Outlook reminds me when the next meeting is coming up with 10 minutes to go. So I can prepare myself for it. I know what I'm doing or where I'm going. But yeah, part of the reason that it's in lots of colors like that, and it's got the measure at the bottom of the cumulative hours used and what have you, is it's a good discipline to be able to look at it, print it out, and so on. One of the challenges with Excel, by the way, and when we do these things face to face, more often than not, we do them with a written book, because the action of writing something in a book and then being able to look at it afterwards often means it goes in here a lot better than it does typing it into a spreadsheet. Obviously, we can't really do that with Zoom. I suppose I could send out printed manuals, but not quite the same thing. So this is a good way of doing it. So Howard, I think your question is well put. I would probably take this when it was complete and print it out and stick it on my wall. Very good. Any other questions on default diary? Who's going to commit to putting their working week in there and figuring out how good it looks or not, as the case may be? Anybody care to share? Put their hands up. Well done, Vicky. It's a good one, so definitely worth the effort. Great. So just to summarize your 30-day plan, this tab is where all of your actions are summarized. So that's the one you want to print out. Default diary template, again, that's the one you want to look at and print out. Discipline, massively important. You see down here it says signed and dated. So when I do this, when I go to the quarterly growth clubs with Action Coach, I sign and date that, and they put it in an envelope and they post it back to me at the end of the quarter. So when I open at the end of the quarter, I can go, did I? Have I achieved my goals? Have I been disciplined? Have I done this? Have I done that? Have I done the other? So again, bit of accountability there, which I think helps enormously. And Helen keeps hers on a Google Doc and added following it to my discipline tab. Great stuff, Helen. Yeah, good. And if you're in the habit of using, Google Sheets or Google Docs or whatever on an ongoing basis, or you're using, OneDrive or Dropbox or whatever, just make it absolutely easy to access and be available. So you can one click and you can see, what am I doing now? What am I doing next? How does my week look? And so on. Good stuff. Okay, let me just hop back to here for a second, or somewhere there. So we've covered off that. That's an awful lot of work in a very short period of time, by the way. So if you've finished it and you're happy with it, congratulations. If you haven't, then you need to make sure that you book up your 20-minute follow-up session. So I've updated my Calendly link. So if you take a look at that link, calendly.com/Simon Elson/20 minutes, that will launch my calendar, and you can find a free slot in there and book a 20-minute Zoom session, and we'll go over your plan, and I'll give you any hints or tips or pointers or ask any questions or whatever else it might be. Everybody good with that? Obviously, I'm going to send you the presentation afterwards. I suppose, can I put this in the, I probably can, can't I? No, it's amazing. I'll put that in the chat box in a moment. Or Joe, if you can get to that link on the Calendly and drop it in the chat box, that would be really helpful. So that's the follow-up session. I'm gonna just hop off there for a second and come back to something else, which I just want to spend a few minutes on. How are we doing for time? 10 minutes, okay. Thanks, Joe. So I want to share this. Hopefully you can all see a blue and yellow Excel worksheet on the screen. Anybody care to just confirm that? Put your hand up if you can see that. Lovely, thank you. Okay, so this is the magic that every business needs, that most businesses don't have or don't focus on. This is the thing we call the 5 ways. So the 5 ways is a really simple means of driving profit in your business. I should have taken all those things out first, and I forgot. And this is a marketing, sales, and operations funnel. And it's driven by the most important thing in the world right now, which is marketing. If you haven't got a marketing plan, if you haven't got a marketing strategy, if you don't know what you're doing with your social media, somebody said to me the other day, can you point me at somebody who can do social media for me? And I went, yeah, of course I can. There's loads of people I know do social media. What is it you want to achieve? Well, I need to do some social media. Yeah, I know, I understand that, but what do you want your social media to achieve? Well, I need to tell people I'm out there. You know, I get that, but what is it you want to achieve? What's the numeric benefit of you doing social media? Oh, well, I suppose I need some leads. Yeah, absolutely. That's what marketing is, right? Marketing is a lead generation tool, brand awareness and lead generation tool. If you've done a decent job of setting up your business and getting your logo nice and your website nice and everything else, your branding is good and strong, you now want leads coming in on a day-to-day basis. So how many leads can I generate in my business? Let's just take, we'll use a year on this example, just so that it makes the maths nice and simple. So it's a whole year. How many leads do I want to generate in a year? So I really want, I want 1,000 leads for my business in the next year. And of those 1,000 leads that come in, our conversion rate runs at about 45%, there or thereabouts. So my conversion rate is 45%. So 1,000 leads in, conversion rate of 45% means I've got 450 new clients in a year. How many existing clients have I got? Well, I've already got 550. So I've now got 1,000 clients. On average, those clients buy from me once. So that means I've got 1,000 transactions. My average sale value. Now I know some of you will be in a business where you charge, 200 quid for something and then 20,000 pounds for something. But if you took all of your revenue divided by all of your customers, what is the average value? And I'm just going to put an arbitrary number in here of $500. So my revenue is $500,000 a year. What's my profit margin? my profit margin on average is about 20%. So my business is turning over $500,000 in revenue and I'm making 100,000 profit. Not bad, not bad. But if I want to grow that business, what's the easiest way to do it? Well, we call this the 5 ways because there are 5 numbers that are really, really important in here. And that's new clients, total clients, number of transactions, revenue, and profit. So in here, I'm going to improve my marketing strategy. I'm going to go and work with the best marketeer in the area with some specific targets, and we're going to grow our number of leads by, I don't know, 20%. My conversion rate is going to improve only very slightly, let's say by 10%. So I would be at what, 49%? So let's call it 50% is our conversion rate. I've got 1,000 clients, if you remember, because in the previous example, I had 550, so 1,810, and so I've got 550, so same number of existing clients. Why is that a percentage? I don't know. Oh, okay. So I've got the same number of existing clients, but I've won new clients. So it's 1,360. I'm going to persuade each of those people to buy from me 1.2 times a year. So I'm just testing the maths here. I'm going to improve the transactions by 10%. So instead of instead of once they're buying from me, they're buying 1.1 times a year. My average revenue is not 500, it's 550 because I put up my prices by 10%. And my average margin has improved by just a couple of points. So with some relatively minor changes here, so a better marketing strategy, a better conversion rate, not by much, the same existing client base, slight improvement on the number of times they buy from me every year. Oh, look at that, 550. Why is that not? Oh, okay, it's looking for a percentage, I'm sorry. Improved by 10%, there we go. Improved by 10%. And a slight improvement in my margin structure. I've added 300,000 to my revenue and I've added 100,000 to my net profit. But it's driven by this number up here. So if I could improve my number of leads by 50%, I'm now making an extra 450,000. So even if my conversion rate only went up by 10%, I'm still making another 90,000. Does that make sense? Got a question? Oh, thanks, Joe. Your Calendly link has been emailed out to everybody to book your follow-up 20-minute sessions. So I hope that all makes sense. I hope that's clear. I'm happy to share this spreadsheet with you, but it's a really important one. So how many leads do I get? What's the conversion rate? Existing customers, number of transactions, average value, and margins. This is a calculator that will tell you how much more money you can make by just making some small improvements in what you do. If you have no lead generation strategy, if you have no marketing strategy today, and you're still getting some leads in, if you put one in place, what can the change be? Is your sales process good enough to convert more people? And so on. So that's called the 5 ways. 5 ways to grow your profits. Usually when that's implemented, you get an average of 40 to 50% improvement in the number of leads in and the conversion into new customers because there's a focus on it. So remember we talked about having a destination, knowing what your destination is, and then creating a plan to get there. This is the same thing. My destination now is I want 1,500 leads coming in every month. What's my plan to get there? My plan is I'm going to do this. Sales point of view. My new plan is I need to convert 49.5% from the number of leads generated into actual customers. How am I going to do that? Here's my sales plan. Here's my sales training plan. Number of transactions. How often do they buy? Well, they only buy once a year because it's a static product. Okay, is there another product I can introduce as an add-on to that to make sure they buy more than once a year? Can I switch to a subscription model? There are so many areas wrapped up in there. Average sale price. The vast majority of people that I say, put your price up by 10%, go, could never do that. And then they put their price up by 10% and they lose not a single customer. 10% is small enough that most people will go, ooh, I don't like that very much, but they'll carry on buying in just the same way they always have done. Increase your sale price. Don't be shy. You are worth more than you're charging. And then down here, your margins. This is about operational efficiency. So we've got marketing here, we've got sales here, we've got systemization here, and we've got operational efficiency down here. They drive your profit line incredibly high. Great. We'll do some more work on the 5 ways, I'm sure, next time, but I wanted to introduce the principle and show you the spreadsheet so that you knew what that was all about. I'll go back to here for a second. So where are we? We are, 10:58. Great, so Joe has emailed you that 20-minute follow-up session link. If you want 20 minutes, happy to stick those in the diary and work with you on just completing the plan. If I'm seeing you soon for another coaching session, then obviously we can go through the plan at the next coaching session. You don't need to book an extra slot. Couple of things on here. So I asked you a favor at the beginning, take a screenshot and share it on LinkedIn and Facebook and say you're doing a planning session with me. That would be very helpful to me. What would also be really helpful to me is to follow me on Twitter and follow me on Facebook. We're trying to improve the communications out in the business, and the more people that follow us, the more people will see the posts that we make, which is really important to me. And YouTube, there is a link to our YouTube channel. There's about 70 odd videos on there of me talking about various things, including some recordings of events like this, where we've done a growth club. And so if you would be kind enough to hop onto that YouTube link and subscribe, doesn't cost you anything, but then you get to see, every time we post a new video, you get to see that new video. Again, massively helpful to us if you try to grow the business. That's it, 10:59 and 35 seconds. So almost bang on the button. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to plan your business and plan the next stages. Happy to talk as a follow-up, as I said before. And I wish you a great rest of the day. Thanks ever so much, and see you soon. Anybody got any questions before we sign off? And Helen, thank you, Helen. Yeah, good to see you back again. Hopefully we'll see you at the next one. Any questions, obviously, ping me and we'll happily follow up. Terrific. Thanks, Joe and Simon from Chris. Lovely. Great to see you all. I'll sign off and leave you in peace. And Joe will email this presentation out to everybody as well, so you've got all of the content, so you can follow through that. Clearly, that's one of our obligations. Thanks, Howard and Chris. Great to see you all, and hopefully we'll see you all next time. Alrighty, take care. Thanks.